We are here at the Japanese Grand Prix, a much smaller grid. I will be getting into details as to why this is. So 7 drivers are only going to be taking part. We'll probably move that up to 8 because we think that Courtney Jackson will be a little late. As opposed to that, we'll just wait and see how things play out. So we'll both go spectate and ready out. And that'll be the cue for these guys to sort. So a much smaller grid. I'll wait till the qualifying gets underway and we get a bit of a smooth spell before we get into what's been happening over the last week, because there are a few things we want to address. So Joe, you and I have just completed the Japanese Grand Prix race, DNF for you, P8 for me. Not your favourite track, obviously. You've made it pretty vocal over the past week or so that it hasn't been your ideal favourite circuit. But just from a non-biased standpoint, what defines the Japanese Grand Prix circuit? What makes it so unique, other than the fact that it is the only figure of 8 circuit that the F1 calendar has?
Well, it's got the famous first sector, which is really tight, and you can lose a bunch of time in that sector. Then I think, my personal point of view, even though I hate this track, I do like the second sector, which is challenging but not overly hard. But then you got the third sector, which is probably the most iconic part of the track, with 130R and the history of the last couple of corners with Aaron Senna and I think it was Prost crashing. So it's an iconic track, but it's a very difficult track to master. So.
Sorry, just talking to the Xbox people, having a bit of a bad spell with their mini-series, trying to get people to join in. So, I won't beat around the bush. The reason I'm doing commentary today, I would have done it in F1 primarily, the main subject, but the pinnacle of the problem does lie here within F4, and that's why I've come to F4 to explain the situation. Now, you'll notice that 2 names are missing: Scott Siegrist luking up and Bam Bam Jovan McKenzie. I'm not going to lie about it. The two decided that they felt this league was poorly planned, poorly orchestrated, poorly organised, and they felt the need to address the situation quite abusively, incoherently, and even went as far as to showing screenshots of what the league they're in, and reckon that we could do better by following their example. So, I don't personally tolerate people coming into my league telling me what I should be doing in my league. You don't see me going to race spec, you don't see me going to AOR, you don't see me going to ARL and telling them what they need to do to make their leagues better. I don't expect people to be coming in and doing the same. So I'm not very happy about it. Apex F1. Oh shit. Forgot about him.
Oh, I sent him an invite.
Okay, well, yeah, okay, so that's alright. So he'll just miss qualifying. Although, in saying that, it is 5 minutes over the allotted time, so if he was late, that's kind of on him. But yeah, I'm not exactly happy with people that think they can come into someone's league and then go on a rant about how things are wrong or things that aren't doing so well, and this all stems from the regional side of things. This hasn't actually got anything to do with the F4, but the policy of the Transnation eSports is that if you get removed from one platform, we call them platforms. So the regionals and the nationals, they are platforms. If you get banned from one platform, you're going to get banned to the other, because obviously you're going to spread that system into the other one, and that's not fair on those who are racing. So yeah, so Bam Bam and Luking Up have both been banned from the server, and are not ever to come back. So it changes the championship up. It puts Harry Lillis into the lead of the championship, 28 points clear of Quinten Vandermeer, who isn't actually here this weekend. We are expecting Courtney Jackson to turn up some way through the qualifying, so that's going to make 8. And now that we've got Apex F1, who I actually honestly cannot remember for the life of me what his name is.
It's Andrew. I forgot. I don't know what his surname is.
Ooh, someone's got a really high revving engine at the moment. Was one of the Williams, which would be Peyton Sheffield, who's the first driver out. I'm just trying to get the stuff to go away, so I can get into my registration field of things. And Andrew. Okay, so I don't think I actually got his last name when I applied him. I'll just double check. Oh no, I'll never find it at this rate. So yeah, so we'll just go by Andy. So Andy he'll be in the Toro Rosso. Oh yeah, and the other thing too, I don't know really if I should be saying it, but I will anyway. It turns out during the F1 commentary last weekend, we had a female person turn up by the somebody by the name of Kenzie Maxwell began publicly chatting with us in the live chat, and they joined. And if you had watched the F1 broadcast, which probably sure you had, you would remember me telling a story about a person who made a false account, a female false account, on the prospect of trying to get some extra mileage in before their race. Well, turns out that Kenzie Maxwell was that same exact person. Now, I've blown that wide open, probably shouldn't have, but I'm going to at least respect the detail by not telling the people who it is. They know, the people in the league know, but they're not going to go and blowing the secret out. Personally, I think that's ridiculous. If you get banned from a league, there's obviously a good enough reason for it. Whether you're violating the rules or the regulations of the league, whether you're causing problems within the server in the fields of your driving, or you're off. Something's going really weird there with Peyton there for a second. But yeah, you know, you don't get banned from a server for no reason. Yet this person believed they got banned for no reason, so they tried to come back on a different alias. That's unacceptable by any means of the imagination. If you get banned, just live with it, move on. Anyway, so let's have a look at the qualifying results at the moment as we move into things. So Harry Lillis has gone to the top with a 129.2 from Peyton Sheffield in the Williams, then Craig Tidy in the Renault from Jordan Dittmer, and then Robert Hildenbrandt. Kyle Wilson yet to set a time. He's coming out on a hot lap and looks like
apparently it's going to rain in 5 minutes.
Yeah,
so
I was just about to comment on that. I just saw some spits of rain on Nate Pinkert's perspective as he was rolling into the pit, so there is definitely rain starting to fall on the circuit. I also apologise if I do get kicked out, but you know, that's how things work at the moment. So what we'll do is quickly, while we wait for things to step into motion. Oh yeah, Kyle's had a moment coming out of the S's. I don't know if it's the senior S's, but going just coming out of just before Dunlop, it looks like he's managed to put the completely different conditions for F1 at the moment. We've got nobody hasn't actually set a lap yet. We've got, looks like we're riding on board with Luke Bartley, who's going to set a time. Let's see what he does versus Harry Lillis. A 129 flat, so only 2/10 of a difference between. That's not too bad for Harry to be only 2/10 slower at the moment than the current F1 qualifying time, but that's going to probably naturally drop So yeah, Kyle and Nate are the only two who haven't set a time yet. I feel as though Nate might have put it off a bit too late to come out, but we'll watch anyway. So we're right on board with Nate Pinker in the number 76 Red Bull as he tries to navigate his way through this weakening Suzuka Grand Prix circuit. So heading into turn 1, you want to be able to position the car on the apex. He's completely missed both apexes, which leads through 2. Turns 3 and 4, you want to be hugging the apex here, which he's done in the first, but he's kind of missed it in the second. This all will lie down to weather conditions and all that as well. And of course, Nate's not what you'd call a seasoned applicant. Not the quickest, not the most consistent, but he turns up, he races. Doesn't matter if he's had a good race or a bad race, he'll thank everyone for participating. He'll happily say, had a great race, even if it wasn't the greatest, and then we'll just go about his merry way. And that, you know, these are the kind of people we want in the Transnation eSports. People that we don't mind the odd, we don't mind the odd competition, or the people who like to be competitive, who like to win all the time, like to be in a strong position, but we, at the expense of destroying fun out of the league, is one of the reasons we don't take kindly to these kind of people like Jovan and like Scott, who just want to do nothing but be serious about everything and minimise the fun aspect. So Nate's going to come down across the line, 37.7, not bad. And given now that the rain is probably now at its worst, I can't see Kyle improving, getting a time that could beat that. So that's ensured Nate P6. I don't know whether the YouTube comments are showing through about any rain or...
Oh no, it just said it's 5 minutes until rain. But...
Okay, so that's from Jordan. Jordan, obviously if you're listening to the stream, to avoid me watching you, or avoid Joe watching you, tell us what the weather is for the race.
Oh, he's on outlap. Oh, he's on he's on outlap. But
yeah, you're not supposed to watch him. That was his rulings. Because
well, that's
apparently every time we watch him, he crashes. So I don't know what to make of that. But anyway, let's just have a look at the F1 again. So at the moment, it's changed. So the pole time is now somewhere in the 27s, I think. I can't get it. The problem with a purple lap time is that you can barely focus on... Why is the 28.1? So yeah, 28.1, but of course now that the weather is changing on us, it's kind of hard to actually be able to stay on a good one. So looks like Hildebrandt's going to go for a run around. Jordan, I'm surprised, is actually going for a run. I'm going to run right on board with him. No, he's actually aborting, so... I did think it was probably a little over-ambitious to be... Well, we've got yellow flags, which I'm guessing is for actually Craig Tidy. He's the only one on the circuit.
Apparently, from Harry and Payton, it's dry for the start, and then rain in the middle, and then back to dry.
Okay, so we've got a kind of an intermediate type condition format for the race. So definitely wouldn't have minded seeing that in the F3 race, really, given where I was. But to claw back to P8 from being last with no front wing of the first couple of corners isn't too bad. It could have been a lot better if I'd known that Diogo had a 3-second time penalty at the end of the race. Well, with a few more laps to go, I would have pushed to get I would have pushed to keep on to P7. So yeah, no, it was definitely an interesting one. But so will Craig go for a lap No, he won't. He's boarding as well, so
I'm
it's obvious that the weather is too.
surprised Roberts on hards.
Well, there is some significance to the hard tyre in the way that it doesn't. See, the thing about it, and I think I remember hearing about it from like David Croft and Martin Brundle in the 2018 German Grand Prix. As I recall, I think Sebastian Vettel had crashed off the circuit on the mediums, where, well, the soft, I suppose it was back then, and I think Lewis Hamilton and all that were all on the mediums. So what I'm trying to get at is that the harder tyre seems to not be, when a harder tyre has got more temperature in it, it will, no, actually no, sorry, no, I'm getting my facts reversed. Sorry, it's the softer tyre. Ooh, and we've got Peyton that's just disconnected. Yeah, so the harder tyre generally won't pick up as much temperature on the God, I hope someone has the ability to invite him, because I sure don't.
So the many flaws of this game.
It is silly that, and I just feel like I'm just stressing and pulling my hair out consistently on the idea that that I keep repeating the prospect that the fact that we can't invite people via the spectator stand, like spectators can't invite people, is still to this point ridiculous. Okay, so he's managed to get back in. Maybe he was just having a maybe he's having one of those issues with the sound. Just watching this lap at the moment by Robert Hildenbrand, it's not like, it doesn't look like the track is getting wet enough to really, like, he's probably using traction, I can see that much, but just looking, it's not looking damp. The track's not really getting a sheen to it, so it could be, I mean, there's only 2 minutes left on the clock. I mean, you could probably throw another set of softs on and have another crack. You might get somewhere with it. I mean, Kyle's definitely given it a go. So Robert's aborting that lap. We'll have a look at Kyle and see if we can see if there's any significant differences in this. So as he comes down the main straight heading towards turn 1 and turn 2, he's able to hit the apex, or just a little bit of a kick of oversteer coming out of the exit of 1 into 2, then 3 and 4, not overly bad, 5 and 6. It's definitely modulating, so there's definite signs of lack of grip. 8 through Dunlop, 9, now the digners of 10 and 11. Oh, he might have invalidated there, I'm not going to lie there. So that's 11. Turn 12 and 13, the hairpin. Oh, yep, there goes the rear there, but he's actually managed to keep it off the wall and actually managed to just keep it straight. But I would say that's probably an invalidation. It's definitely not. No, he looked like he was pulling out of it, but then now he's back into full scale. Through Spoon, there is a bit of a sheen through Spoon, not massively, but he's not giving it full throttle down the straight. So, and in saying that too, I'm just looking at his steering wheel. There's not a lot of ERS being used either, so he's just hovering it, so it doesn't usually. He's going to go for another run. So my thought would be correct in the idea that he has invalidated that last lap. So look, take 2, way into the fence.
Harry's on an out lap as well. Jordan's also.
This will be interesting. So Harry was probably never going to be in doubt for pole for today at the moment. But yeah, I definitely think now is not the best time to be out on a dry tyre. But we'll.
Oh.
Oh, okay. Well, that's weird.
Well, Jordan is through the S's. What?
Well, DRS has been disabled.
Oh, yeah, Jordan's off.
So. Well, that's a career best qualifying for Jordan, actually, P4. Still waiting for that elusive first race win for Jordan Dittmer. And he's aborted, which means we are now done with qualifying. So, another pole position for our championship points leader, Harry Lillis, with Peyton Sheffield taking the second spot alongside. And then Craig Tidy, Jordan Dittmer, Robert Hildenbrandt, Nate Pinkert, and Kyle Wilson. And we will have Andy and Courtney Jackson making up the rear of the field. So that's 9 cars from 7 in qualifying.
And I think also the fact, sorry for interrupting, is that I think Courtney and Andrew will be able to choose their setup, because I remember being late for Spain and having 3 choices set up. So, and also Carl hasn't set a lap time, so he's going to get a fresh set of softs or mediums. So that could also work in his favour as well.
It does play a lot into the way that it's going to be an interesting. Well, the strategy is going to play an interesting part in all this. So it's going to be who thinks along the lines of the. Okay, so sorry, Jordan's apparently best qualifying was a P3, so Jordan, if you could actually tell me where that was, I'll be able to validate that. Oh, and so, as the cars set off on their formation lap, so it's Harry on pole from Peyton, Craig Tidy, Jordan Dittmer, Robert Hildenbrandt, Nate Pinkert, Kyle Wilson, Andy, and Courtney Jackson in the Mercedes. So I think Courtney's usually in the Renault. No, Renault, Williams, and then Apex is usually, well, Andy is usually in the Toro, well, should have been debuting in the Toro Rosso, but he is in the Red Bull, so he's been given a promotion. That Red Bull is usually driven by
Liam, is it?
No,
no, Jonathan.
Yeah, Jonathan. So Jonathan not here for the weekend, and then you could say that basically Courtney Jackson has taken. Oh, that guy Lucas. I don't know if anyone invited him.
Oh, I
don't have him. I know I don't have him in my system, so maybe Matt had invited him. I don't know.
Wait,
we'll see one way or another.
Is he in the YouTube chat?
I think so. No, I just clicked. I was just thinking about it because, yeah, usually he's here. So, I don't know. I'll figure it out one way or another over the week. So, yeah, 9 cars on the grid, 2 cars not official to the championship. That being the bottom 2. Looks like Josh Banks has taken pole position for the F1. And presumably all clear conditions over there for them. So, looks like F4 is the only tier this weekend to have rain in both qualifying and presumably the race. So, it's going to be an interesting playing field. And of course, because DRS was disabled in the race, it means that everyone did get a free choice of tyres to use, but nobody has gone a different route. Everybody here has gone for the soft tyre. So, no real differences in strategy. Oh, it looks like Jordan and Craig have been disqualified from the session at a given point. So we're going to build the lights up. Of course, we'll have a delay because we are hosting it. So the reds build, lights will build up, it's lights out, away we go for the Japanese F4 Grand Prix, and it looks like it was a beautiful start by Harry Lillis. Peyton's actually had a really good secondary start. Jordan's going absolutely backwards through the field. Usually a bit surprising given he's got the pad hack advantage, but he's managed to siphon his way and hold on to P6 at the moment. But beautiful start there by Harry Lillis. He's going to lead them through the Center S's. If that's what they're called, I don't know, but you know, everything's related to centre in some form. Oh, Jordan's had a spin, he's off, and he'll rejoin at the back of the field. He hasn't lost too much ground, but he's going to need to get his head down and get things moving. It looks like Courtney Jackson's had an off somewhere as well through Dunlop. He's just managed to pull it together, I think. No, Jordan looks like he's managed to pull himself back together and keep things going through. So 9/10 of a second, the gap at the front already. So Harry is already pulling a margin. The championship points leader looking to make a statement. Oh, we've got Andy making a move on Robert Hildebrandt, and that's already P5 from the back of the field for Andy. Oh, Robert just about put the Haas into the back gearbox of the number 37 Red Bull.
Needed a Vettel.
Oh, that would have been very interesting. Well, we've got a battle for the podium between the two Renaults. So Kyle's had a really good start as well from the back of the field to, I mean, can you even call it the back of the field? I mean, technically speaking, they are in the top 10 by virtue. So we'll just say the back end of from the back of the top 10.
Yeah.
Oh. Just going to read things just quickly. So anyway, we've got Kyle's actually come on.
Andrew's third now.
Yeah, so I think, well, I don't want to presume, but for some reason, Kyle's ended up all the way back at P6. I was messaging the head of the Xbox League on something. And then, so something's happened which has put Kyle down to P6 and then somehow has allowed Andy to move himself up into P3. So Andy's showing some pretty good speed at the moment. He might be able to take it to the top two, who are now separated by just 0.6 of a second. So Peyton hasn't let Harry get away just yet. In fact, if anything, I think Harry's looking a little vulnerable at the moment. No idea when the rain is supposed to hit, so there's still plenty of time to associate that. Now, Jordan and Courtney have both managed to get past Nate, and in fact Jordan's not too far off from having an attack on Courtney as well. So these two are only 3.7 seconds away from Kyle, so that mistake has kind of brought actually the field together. Oh, there's a bit of a tussle going on up the front. Peyton having a look at Harry through the center S is not the most ideal position to be having a move, but I mean, if Harry had the right of mind to get out of the way, it could have worked. And Craig Tidy's just gone into the fence. Where is that? Is that just before Dunlop, or is that in Dunlop? Yeah, that's well before Dunlop, actually. And Jordan's had an off as well.
Robert, they were fighting with... Craig was fighting with Robert. Is Andrew's or Andy's car AI? Because I see the AI thing. I don't know.
No, I can't see anything.
Oh, okay.
If it was AI, well, I don't know. What did you set the AI to?
I put it to 90.
Might have to lower it if it becomes an apparent case, but I don't think anyone would dishonestly just pause the game and run the AI. But yeah, this battle between Harry and Peyton is getting quite heated at the moment, because Peyton's all over the back of the Ferrari, and Now that he's got DRS, will Harry go defensive? No, he won't. So Peyton will take the lead of the Grand Prix. Harry trying to throw the car in to get a better exit out and doesn't do it. Courtney's moved up to P3-5 all of a sudden. Kyle's in, that's why. He'll be joined by his teammate very shortly, so he'll be hoping that yeah, Craig's actually slowed down because he's tried to avoid being caught in the double stack. We'll just see if that actually works. So we'll just watch him now on the screen. The pit crew are ready. Oh, they weren't fully ready for him. He needed probably about 2 more seconds, maybe, give or take, and he would have been right for that. Now, I'm just looking at the pit bay. I did think I saw a few spits. Oh, he's just come out in front of Jordan, who's also come in for a stop. So Jordan's obviously collected some damage in the process of his spin as well. So Jordan will at least have someone to race with for the most part. We'll just keep an eye on it too, because we'll just see if Jordan can do anything here. Running a pink and white schemed helmet, I don't think.
Wait, when did Peyton get ahead of Harry?
I already see it.
Oh, 6-1.
And Craig's gone into the fence. Where?
Oh, that's what I think.
He must have done it at Dunlop.
I think he done it when I crashed, I think.
Is that going to bring out a safety car, I wonder? Well, I mean, I think a lot of us were begging for one when we had 3 DNFs in succession in F3 and that didn't happen, so I would be very morbidly surprised if there was another one for one incident. Looks like a 3-second time penalty.
Oh, yeah, is and that's on the. Is it gone? Yeah, it's basically where I crashed. Oh, Courtney's spun. It's getting together. Is it?
Courtney
yeah.
Get overtaken by Nate? No, Nate's a little bit further back, so. Why don't I be mentioned? Oh, the weather. It sounds like there's been a bit going on in the F1, so while we've got a free moment while the field starts to spread out a little. Okay, so according to Craig, it sounds like P3 is AI. But I mean, that's only there. I mean, what's to say it's doing it now? Who knows? We'll figure it out one way or another, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go to the F1 and have a look and see what's going on there while we... so we've already had... Oh, okay, so we've had two... We've had 2 casualties, which is Engine and Addy. John's all the way back in the back of the field. I mean, I know he would have been there because he didn't qualify, but he's quite a fair bit back. So the top 10 in F1 is Josh Banks from Bailey Ford, then it's Mackenzie Stewart, Aaron Leflink, Izzet Kush, Luke Bartley, Jacob Todd, Sebastian Spicer, Tao Sararino, and the new driver Richard Curry in P10. Then the rest of the field makes up Tyler Beasley, Mwala, Yevgeny Delacau, Alex Moorcroft, and then John Lindbergh, who must have had an off somewhere. Anyway, we'll press on.
Well, the gap's now less than a second.
Anyway, it looks like Harry's managed to get himself back into DRS range of Peyton, so it looks like Peyton might be starting to overuse his soft tyres a little bit, although despite having DRS, Harry lost 0.2 of a second down the straight alone. Let me check his telemetry. Oh, he was running on 1 the whole time.
What assists has Harry?
I think
Is
everything is on apart from traction.
oh, okay.
Give me a second.
Oh, so we're checking. No, there isn't. Well, Robert is closing up on. And, yeah.
Yeah, so Peyton's made some thing, but yeah, Jordan's made some pretty good ground on. Oh no, he's 27 seconds behind. That's Kyle on Nate.
Oh yeah.
Although, hang on, Nate and Jordan were. Oh no, that was Jordan and Craig, wasn't it? I was about to say Craig and Kyle were line and stern coming out of the pits. Why is Jordan suddenly 28 seconds behind? But then, yeah, I've just realised that they were in a different set of circumstances. On. Oof.
Where's that? There's sector 1 and...
Yeah, I think he's done it at the Degner. Or maybe even Dunlop, but yeah, that's not good for Jordan. That was a good qualifying, so unfortunately.
Yeah. I think he went straight on in Degner 1. I think that's what
Nate's running, also just noticed, Nate's also running the Ayrton Senna helmet. So that's pretty interesting. So yeah, Harry's still staying to the back of Peyton at the moment. I don't know if Peyton's won a race this season, so he'll be looking to try and get his first race win of the season, whilst Harry's going to try and go back to back, having won the Russian Grand Prix, his first race win in his career. But I mean, plenty of poles to go to his name, but yeah, never had the ability to win a race, but then finally broke through at Russia. And now he's trying to look to make it 2x2, 2 for 2. Now, I'm just thinking about it. I'm just thinking on the basis of this, if this presumable AI thing is true, why you're not really gaining anything from it now if you are, because you're losing time to the leaders, and if anything, you're actually losing time to Robert Hildenbrand behind. So Robert's looking, well, I was about to say he's looking really good to go for a first ever podium, but now he's coming in, which I would presume would be for a set of hards, because there's no way you're gonna another set of softs. So
the rain must be coming in like 7 laps then.
Yeah, there must be a window where the rain is coming, where a period of the rain where it's going to be in just at the point where you'd make a second stop. So nobody, I don't think, well, Robert has made the first move, because I'm guessing that nobody's going to be wanting to try and push the softs to the rain window, which then indicates, yeah, so the next person who has to react to this is basically Andy, because if Andy doesn't react to this, he's definitely going to get undercut. For Robert, he just has to stay calm. Don't overwork the tyre so quickly in the first run. Just keep the head down, keep it confident, use as much ERS as possible in the first flying stint, because it's critical to use the tyres.
Oh, Harry's having a go at Peyton.
Sounds like Tyler Beasley's just had another crash after finishing his first race of his since China, I think it was, last season. Well, China earlier. Yeah, it looks like you've lost Tao Saorino and Tyler Beasley now. So from 17 drivers in F1, that's incredible. That's something we haven't seen in a long time. And in fact, if I think about it, the only people that didn't turn up today, from the looks of it, was Nadir Ziyat. I think the only car that's vacant is the Racing Point. So,
That's interesting.
so yeah, Nadir's the at. Just trying to think who the other car, what other car I'm missing are. No, there should be 3 cars missing, but there's only, I can only see. Because engine's in a Ferrari, which is a bit out of kilter.
So,
Tyler should be in the Ferrari, but he ended up in the McLaren. John's in the Alfa Romeo, he should be in the McLaren. There's so many cars out of place at the moment, it's kind of hard to put place on it. Anyway, so back to the... I might actually just keep the F1 on the side while I watch, keep comments on this. So, no reaction from any of those from behind Robert Hildebrandt. Robert is slowly but surely catching up to Courtney Jackson. And then...
If Andrew pits, he's going to get... I think he's going to get undercut, and it's starting to rain.
There's rain. Yeah, rain is hitting this. So maybe, just maybe, Hildebrandt may have just made a mistake. In saying that, though, I don't think... You're still not going to... you don't really want to push... You really don't want to be pushing your soft tyres any further than what they're already doing. So,
well,
I mean, 10 laps is the limit.
Nate's in the pit. What's he going to put on?
It's too early for inters. No, he's going for the medium, so he's not playing the dumb game, which would be to jump on the intermediates now and then just hope it gets wet quickly.
This could turn... You've got 2 phases that can turn like the race on its head. The inters, to getting onto inters and then getting back onto dry, if what Harry's saying is correct.
And Harry's dropped almost a second on Peyton. Now, there's a 5-second penalty there for Andy. He's come in and jumped onto those mediums. There's obviously not enough residual water to jump on the jump on the softs. Well, cool. Jump on the intermediates, I should say. So for a lot of people at the moment, is somehow the undercut didn't work for Robert. Well, I mean, it's worked in the way that he's made time up, but it hasn't worked in the way that, well, the undercut to take effect. I mean, Robert could still take advantage of this because the tyres, Andy very loose into, Robert's actually done himself no favours by going off as well. Someone's gone off at 1, I think that might have been for Robert. So...
It looks like it's time for inters.
I'm not so convinced. I'll have a look. Let's have a look on board with Harry. There's still not really any residual, like, you can't see a sheen on the circuit. The tyres aren't locking up, although Harry doesn't. Harry uses ABS, so. Peyton didn't blink. Oh, Harry. I think Harry wasn't too sure on what he wanted to do there. The car probably wanted to pit. He said no. Hit the bump. That bump is brutal. Ooh. Oh, Andy's having a bit of a spin. He managed to hold on to it. He's definitely not an AI, because an AI wouldn't do that. Sector 1, Nate's gone off. And just rejoined just behind Harry there, so he was lucky there was no one else there. You might be right on the way that it's not. I agree that it definitely is time to consider the idea of the intermediates. It's not quite time to put them on.
Andrew's pissing. Is he gonna? Oh, it's another 5 seconds.
Yeah, well, that's just costing him any hope of a pit. I think
I think he doesn't know that a foot took off.
we
pit.
do give these people plenty of warning about.
Is he going to come off?
We give these people plenty of warning that if they do say that they have the pit assist on in the thing, that we do have it off. So, yeah, if he's just doing that, if he didn't pay attention to that, it's pretty much his own fault. So we'll just ignore that and move on. So, which one of the front two is going to blink first on to the medium? Peyton's just gone very deep into the. So I would think Peyton's going to blink this lap. No, he's not. Harry. Harry's blink responding. So this could be a pivotal change in the race. Harry may have just made a good strategy call, and I say that quite heavily. Oh, he's got a front wing. So that's why he was dropping so much time. He must have had contact with someone. Must have had contact with Peyton somewhere through the race, and it caused him to get some front wing damage, or maybe that 3-second drop in time may have been as a result of a spin somewhere. So DRS is now disabled, which means those who have jumped onto the intermediates are in a pretty good position here. Courtney's in. I'd expect to see Robert Hildenbrand in, yep. So this strategy has kind of cost Hildenbrand the podium. It's actually, if anything, put Courtney Jackson in the pivotal position to be in the podium. And yeah, I think the pit stop, I mean, unless Harry can absolutely fly in these intermediates now and claw back the time that he's just lost from the front wing change, you can actually now see the actual greasiness of the circuit. So Courtney has come out in front of Andy, and Andy has come out in front of Robert. So 2 times already, although in this case it was Andy that had the undercut, and Kyle was kind of fought back into this position for the battle too. Now the gap is 30.45 seconds. I'm just going to see, okay, so Peyton's in and Harry is just now coming around through into Spoon.
It's 29-second gap.
I think the transit time in a pit stop around Suzuka is about 20 seconds. So unfortunately for Harry, I think that 5-second extra time in the pits, plus being held up by Nate in the pits as well, is going to cost. Yeah, so Harry's just coming down the main straight now. Someone's gone off at 2. That's Hildenbrand. I think he's just had a spin at the hairpin. But yeah, 5-second loss of time basically has cost Harry 5 seconds, really. So the gap was 3.4 seconds when Harry came in. So yeah, he has made the time back up. He has made that 5 seconds back up, which is an impressive feat. But unfortunately, he's still 5 seconds behind Peyton. So I think if Peyton just keeps his head down and doesn't make any mistakes, I think his first win's going to come quite easy at the moment. But Harry will take a massive points lead extension. It will move out to 46 points with only Mexico, USA, Brazil, and Abu Dhabi left. So 4 races, there's 75 points up for grabs. He'll be 46 points ahead, so he'll be able to push himself to the point where he can get pretty much to the championship elect system. For those who want to know too, we've got to mention someone's gone off.
Kyle and Andrew have...
Kyle and Andy.
Yeah, have a coming together.
Oh, okay, so their accident was... I thought... because I didn't know if their accident was simultaneous or not. But yeah, I was just about to pay mention that Fabio Lafacio has been crowned the F3 champion for a second year in a row, or second season in a row, after his win in the F3 championship. Now, I just heard Mark and Guy going a bit flabbergasty in the F1 stream. Evgeny has somehow moved up to P2, although I suppose that could be on the account that he is not pit yet. John's only managed to claw his way up to P10, so in the field of the championship for F1, that's not going to do him much good if he can't claw his way further up the field. So yeah, the battles have kind of destabilised a little bit now, and we've just got, basically, we're just got to wait for a safety car or an accident to take place for the field to bunch back up again. So just giving you, I suppose what we could do is give you guys a bit of an idea of what's happening with the Transnation eSports. We've just 5-second time penalty exceeding track limits. I'm guessing that's at that's at the last corner. Surprisingly, he's staying out. He's got wing damage, so I'm surprised he would. In fact, they're both staying out with wing damage. Oh no, Andy doesn't have it, but he has retired on the circuit. Not really sure why. I mean, you're P6. You're not going to be getting some decent points, but you're P6. Why would you throw that away? Doesn't make sense to me, really. But I mean, to each their own. If you're going to rage quit, I mean, I wouldn't mind. I watched a video on YouTube the other day. This is going a bit off topic, and it was a video of people that make top 10s. And one of them in particular was the top 10 ways that organisations punish those who rage quit. And one of them in particular was an interesting one to me. It was when you rage quit, you get put into a server full of rage quitters. So, who knows? Maybe we could start implementing that. If people just start rage quitting from the races, we'll just put them in a tier of those who just rage quit.
You end up getting like one person racing because of like finishing.
Well, exactly. I mean, one way or another, someone's going to rage quit from that race. But I just don't see that. I mean, yeah, okay, maybe I've been guilty on a couple of occasions now in the last, this season in particular, with F1. But that was only because of the fact that I was off the pace, down the order, definitely knew I wasn't going to be scoring points. So, those are the kind of things that I'm not saying it's justified. I'm not saying it's right, but I'm saying those kind of things, you can't blame someone for doing that. But when you're in P6, you're going to score some pretty decent points. You don't do things. You wouldn't throw it away like that. That's ridiculous. So, and Payton's in the fence. He's gone.
What's that?
He was just so shallow into the last corner. He hit the bump and it fired him into the pit wall. Oh, that's unbelievable. He was the race leader. He had a comfortable 6-second lead over Harry, and Harry was so close to actually following him through, basically. So that's heartbreak there for Payton.
It puts Robert into the first podium.
Yeah, it does now, because it wasn't looking good for Courtney. It's going from P2, from back of the top 10 to P3 or P2 now. And unless Harry has an off, the bottom two of the podium have the ability to get their first wins as well as first. So I'm just looking. So that didn't bring out a safety car as much as we thought it would have. Looks like Nate's going to go up to P5, which will be another, nearly almost. Ooh, there's a bit going on in the F1. Mackenzie's getting super aggressive on Bailey at the moment. Nearly surprised Bailey didn't actually get spun from that contact with Mackenzie at turn 2. Even guys saying you got to play the pacing game. Oh, he's got to move here. Oh, You don't want to be doing that to the Degners, McKenzie. I know I did, but that was different. I forced the driver basically to open the steering, get out of the way. But yeah, so Harry now has a 41.2 second lead in this race. He's almost got a lap on the field. He's coming. So put it this way. So Harry's coming through turn 2 now, and Courtney has only just gotten through Spoon. And then P3's only through just hitting Spoon. P4's just come out of the hairpin. Nate still hasn't overtaken Peyton yet because he was a lap down. In fact, he's about to get put another spot down with Courtney right up behind him. So yeah, and that's... So P6 is only just starting the 20th lap, so being a lap down, and he's just gonna, just get straight out of Courtney's way and gets on with it. So 42 seconds is the gap.
Before we got a bit off topic, because you're going to explain what we're doing over this.
Oh yeah. So basically, we're just looking at a few things. We are definitely opening up the Transnation Formula 2 World Championship, which will be a national F2 championship run, same time as F1, F4 and F5, but on the Saturday for New Zealand, so that's Friday nights for Europe, America and the UK. The format for that hasn't been processed yet, but we've already got a few people joined up to that and nearly ready to go. We've also, that's pretty much all we're going to be having set for. One of the bigger news stories, I'm sure the F1 people will want to hear it, but they'll probably hear it sooner or later. We're looking to try and bring back Transnation Superstars. Now, for those who don't know what Transnation Superstars is, it was a talk show program that we had back in season 1, where drivers could meet up, talk crap to one another, talk about the races been and gone, and it was just a bit of having fun and having a go at people. Sorry, I've got a hangnail just dealing too. But yeah, it was good. It was all good and fun. We had a few game shows, a few quizzes. Another feature also that we're going to be bringing into the Transnation eSports is an achievement, like an achievement system. Now, I'm going to talk to Fabio about this one in particular, because this will be where the app comes in good fashion for it. So you'll get a list of achievements in your driver profile, and it will basically be marked off if you've accomplished it already, and then it'll remain blank until you've accomplished it. So these will be things for, it doesn't matter what tier you're in, although there will be an accomplishment for a tier, like for winning the Formula 1 World Championship, which of course is the big prize for Transnation eSports. So win the World Championship, win the F2, win the F3, win the F4, win the F5, so on and so forth. Get your first official race win in the Transnation eSports, get your first official pole in the Transnation eSports, get your first official podium in the Transnation eSports. Complete a last to first challenge, get the fastest lap 5 times in a season. Those, sort of like what you get for when you're playing on a PlayStation and you buy a game and then you get trophies for accomplishing the tasks in the game. So you'll you'll get some really good ones, and then you'll get some really bad ones, like be called to the steward's office 3 times in a season, get a race ban, get a quali ban, or DNF a certain amount of races in a row. And we're looking to try and make it more motivating for people to turn up, because as you can see here, we've only got 9 people here, and we definitely know we've got a lot more people signed up. A lot of it comes down to the championship perspective, although that got kind of thrown on its toes with Bam Bam deciding to be a bit optimistic in his approach to things and getting himself eventually banned. Now, I know what people might be thinking. It does sound like it doesn't take much for someone to get banned in the Transnation Esports. That's not the case at all. We have strict policies on certain things. Other people, if people come in, they're owners of leagues, they're more than free to advertise their league so long as they've got permission from us and that they're willing to allow us to advertise through them as well. We don't tolerate people coming into our league and telling us how to operate things based on what other leagues do. We're open to suggestions, but only in the suggestive nature, not basically just throwing a few images on the screen saying, here you go, do this, and you'll be a better league for it. That's not on. Reckless driving, dirty driving. I think you'll notice that Banana Josh is no longer racing, as he's been banned for multiple excursions of causing problems on the track. I could tell you, he's been in the stewarding office 11 times in this season. 11 times. And that's spread across F2, F3 and F4. That's 3 different tiers, and a driver has accumulated 11 reports. 6 of them came from one race. The F3 Austrian Grand Prix, 6 reports. And then you've got Going Z28. Now that dates back quite a while back. That dates back to F1, Season 1. He was reckless and dirty and could never admit it. Always someone else's fault. And then eventually took it personal. So we don't tolerate disrespectful behaviour on or off track. And Bam Bam and Luking Up both violated that conduct quite profoundly last night and paid the price for it. So anyway, we've got, I'm just waiting for Jordan things to go, we've got 4 laps left to go in this race, and Harry has a commanding 48.3 second lead over Courtney Jackson, and Robert Hildebrand is looking certain at the moment, if things stay the way they are, to collecting his maiden podium. I don't know if Courtney has made the podium since F4 started.
I don't think he has.
So this will be his maiden podium. I think pretty much all the drivers from position 2 down to 5 will all make a maiden podium appearance if they do make it. And then of course if Harry has an off or DNFs, then every driver in the top 4-5 would be in a position to win the race, get their first win as well. So plenty at stake with so little laps to go. Just have a look at the F1 at the moment while they're on lap 21. Josh leads from Mackenzie, Aaron. Bailey's gone right down the order. He's down in 11th, and John is just ahead of him in 12th. So not sure what's happened there, but it looks like John will take a 1-point advantage heading into Mexico next weekend, and that is our next stop for the National Championship, the Mexican Grand Prix. For the regionals, it's a bit out of kilter now, because for the European, it's the Mexican Grand Prix, I think. Yeah. And then for the Oceania, it's Hungary.
Oh, yeah.
And for the US, it will be Hungary. So a lot's happened basically. US didn't have a race yesterday. Oceania didn't have the German Grand Prix on last Friday because the PSN decided to crash near the end, or just before the race before the session even started, and so on and so forth. So just looking at, let's have a look at where everyone is. So here's Harry coming through into Dunlop now. Up too, actually. So I don't think it'll dry up enough for anyone to jump on. Well, I mean, for someone like maybe Kyle or Nate, it would be an ideal opportunity to... oh, someone's just had a crash. Oh, Bailey's had a crash. Bailey's out.
Oh, Robert. Oh, no.
Oh, where has he done it?
He's done it at 130R. If you look at Carl.
Okay, so let's ride on board.
Oh no,
Oh,
please, but no.
oh no. Nate, 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 Nate! Oh, that's just gut-wrenching. So that's promoted Kyle. Yeah, and Kyle's elect. Oh, if I don't really want to say, I don't want to be that person, but if Kyle has an off, Nate will record his career first podium.
You also have to
2
think.
years.
You also have to think the fact that everybody's on everybody's internet. It looks like a bone dry track.
Well, I mean, for Harry, he's got absolutely no reason. I mean, the last thing you want to do is throw the race win away by then pitting onto softs and then trying to go for the fastest lap and have an off. So Kyle is the one that's going to probably make the gamble on it because he's got nothing to lose. Courtney could do it. He's got nothing to lose. And DRS is enabled. So, although in saying that, there is still water spray coming off Courtney's tyre. So I'm not... And you can see, although you can see Courtney is now trying to find as much wet patches on the track as possible. But yeah, so very soon Nate is going to move up to position 4, and that's going to equal his best result of his career. Yeah, that's just heartbreaking for Robert there. That was going to be a podium in what's been quite a tumultuous campaign for the Danish driver.
What's the 90%
Twist. I don't know. I'd have to get a calculator out for that, but
because
I don't
that
think...
might save him.
Yeah, I think it might be. Although he crashed on lap 24, I don't think it's... I think it's about 25.6.
Does Harry go flat?
Nate's coming in.
Oh.
Check the 3 yellow flag. No, that's just... I think that was just for Nate coming in. Because there's nothing else happening. And Harry's taking the initiative. So, I mean, he could have... Probably could have easily have stayed out if he wanted to. But... Well, set of mediums, so only Courtney is elected to run on the softs. So that's probably stopped Harry from getting the fastest lap, maybe.
Oh,
but,
Carl's gone.
Yeah.
Carl's gone run.
He's trying to keep it together, but he's just let Nate get back through on him. So that's put a... The yellow flags are going haywire at the moment. So looking at the order in the F1, who are pretty much only a lap behind us actually. It's still Josh Bang from Mackenzie Stewart, then it's Aaron in P3 with Luke in P4. In fact, Aaron's giving Mackenzie quite a bit of a hurry up. In fact, Aaron's going to take the spot. So Aaron up to P2, but I think he's got a 5-second penalty. Ooh, a 10-second time penalty for... He has made a mistake at the last corner, it looks like. Not that that's going to... I mean, at this point in time of the race, you're a minute behind the leader. And then you've got 40 seconds to the guy in third. You don't really need to push. I know. I'm sure he's trying to go for the fastest lap, as is probably Harry. But you don't want to throw your race win away, or you don't want to throw your race result away over a fastest lap. It's 1 point, yeah, sure. It helps in the championship contingency, but a big fat 0 doesn't help you if you get it wrong. I mean, not that it will, because they're all... Every driver now, I think even Nate is within the 100%, the 90% rule. We'll dig back shortly on the... Well, unless Joe wants to get his phone out and find out what 90% of 27 is. Pretty sure it's like 25.6 or something.
Oh,
which means that Robert wouldn't.
Alright. Okay. Wait, what was it again?
90% of 27.
It's 24.3.
And 24.3, and Robert crashed on the 20. Hang on, let's just quickly check the race director since I can do that. No, Robert crashed on lap 23 near the end of 24, so that's a big sorry Robert, but that's a big fat 0. So that's unfortunate. But for Nate, it's going to be a career best. Well, career equaling best of position 3. For Harry Lillis, it's going to be back-to-back victories and a commanding one at that. He lost the lead at the start to Peyton Sheffield, but the mistake from Peyton has granted him the position back. And Harry Lillis, dominating performance, he sweeps it up and takes back-to-back victories at the Japanese Grand Prix.
Proceed,
and that will
commanding.
And that will pretty much extend his championship points to lead from 28 now to about 63, I believe. So he could go to Mexico knowing he could wrap up the championship at Mexico if he can score 12 more points over Quinten Vandermeer, who I'm sure will be there for the race.
And Courtney crossed the line second. Is it
so we've got to make sure not to.
Is it Carl's first podium?
I think it is. I don't know if he's had podiums anywhere else, but I think as far as his 4 goes, it is a first podium. And then yeah, for Nate, it's a career best finish. Well, equaling career best. He'll finish a lap. Actually, he's going to finish on the lead lap. Actually, so it's interesting. Anyway, now that Kyle's crossed the line, we'll I don't know if you've got. Oh no, I'm on the suggest players thing. Hang on. Suggest some players. Victory, and it was an absolute commanding victory once Peyton found himself into the pit barrier on the intermediate tyre. Just talk us through your race, mate, and the accolade. Mexico.
Yeah, outstanding race. Quite an interesting one, actually, when it came to the rain. I've never really been in a league race quite like it. Incredible start. I'm not usually very good at race starts, being new to no traction control and whatnot. But I've been practicing it throughout the week, and I managed to nail the start there. Peyton just had incredible pace, and I could not feel worse for him to what happened to him. I know what it's like to do something like that. I've done it many times, but I'm just happy to get 2 wins on the trot and hopefully, wrap this thing up next weekend by getting a good position in Mexico.
And of course, Mexico is our next Grand Prix. Unfortunately, we can't grab Peyton or Kyle as opposed, Courtney or thing, as opposed to Matt being the host of the lobby of the party, and he's not actually here. So we'll just leave it there. Joe, you got anything you want to add?
No, just a very, very exciting race considering we only had 9 people.
Yeah, not the greatest turnout for the F4, but certainly will hopefully change.